We kick things off with the West London derby as Chelsea play host to Fulham. And Chelsea, they really showed their class away to West Ham, but it was the Irons who took the lead early on from a Paqueta strike from the edge of the box. The shot wasn't right in the corner, but the spin appeared to confuse a diving Robert Sanchez, and it gave West Ham the lead. However, this advantage would not last long, as João Pedro rose highest from a corner to level up the scores in the 15th minute. Parity would only be a temporary state of affairs, as Pedro Neto and Enzo Fernández would score to give Chelsea a 3-1 lead going into the half-time break. A quick look at the first half numbers really shows the gulf between the two sides. West Ham did manage the same amount of shots as their visitors, but really the quality of each shot was incredibly poor and consisted mainly of pot shots from outside the box when they couldn't break through the Chelsea defensive line. In the second half, Chelsea eased up a little bit. A quick 4-minute double from Caicedo and Chalobah sealed the deal with a 5-1 victory. It's West Ham's worst start in the first two games of a Premier League season in club history, and Chelsea maintained their unbeaten start to the year. When we take a look at Chelsea's form, as I said, unbeaten across the first two games of the season, and when we look back to last season's form, we can also see that Chelsea were unbeaten in the last 7 games of the 24-25 season, winning 6 of these matches. They play a Fulham side who saw their first half scores finish 0-0 thanks to Bruno Fernandes missing a penalty. However, Manchester United would be the side that would make the breakthrough in the second half. Brian Mbeumo's corner was met by Leny Yoro and deflated off Muñoz to give the Red Devils a 1-0 lead. However, parity would be restored 15 minutes later with super sub Emil Smith-Rowe, as he scored with one of his very first touches of the game. And 1-1 is how the game would finish. When we take a look at the stats though, we can see that Fulham more than held their own, and some may argue that they did enough to earn all 3 points, but I do think a draw was the fair result. In terms of form for Fulham, it's back-to-back 1-1 draws to start the season, although they are unbeaten. When you consider that they came from behind in both matches, this does indicate an incredible amount of resilience, which will be key moving forward this season. Longer term, the Cottagers are unbeaten in 3 of their last 4 matches on the road. When we take a look at the head-to-head record, the last encounter between these sides took place in April at Craven Cottage. Fulham took the lead in the first half as Sessegnon won the ball back from an unsuspecting Reece James, poked it through to Alex Iwobi, and the Nigerian's 2-touch finish saw the Cottagers end the first half ahead. However, as we can see from the stats, Chelsea only grew into the game from here in the second period, and this pressure would tell late on. First through Tariq George, who scored in the 83rd minute, from the edge of the box to level the scores, and then deep into stoppage time in the 93rd minute, Neto snatched all 3 points for the Blues, with his strike on the spin to hand Chelsea a 2-1 victory. Longer term, we can see that Chelsea have enjoyed the West London derby recently, winning 4 of the last 5 encounters overall, but their record at Stamford Bridge is also very strong, winning each of the last 2 matchups against Fulham at the Bridge, but also unbeaten in the last 18 Premier League encounters, which is a record dating back to March of 2002. My prediction for this game is that Chelsea's strong start to the season will be a worrying prospect for a Fulham side who have yet to find their feet. The West London derby record points towards a win for Maresca's side, and I see no reason across the first 2 games why this trend will be bucked. Chelsea also have an extra 2 days of rest, which can only serve them well, with Chelsea playing their last Premier League fixture on the Friday night, and Fulham Manchester United happened on Sunday afternoon. With all of this taken into account, I'm going to back Chelsea to win for a full stake here in bet number 1.